Today I'm making a video for Stoneblind, a rock band from Germany. They are from the city of Trier, which has a Roman heritage, and they seem to be quite proud of that history and are inspired enough to create music with this concept. They have produced this artwork for the release with the Roman soldier as the centerpiece, and they wanted to produce a lyric video in line with this Roman concept, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I wanted to see if we could use this artwork somehow as the background for the lyric video. They did have this version, which just has the logo. That's a pretty easy thing to get rid of in Photoshop. The main issue with this was that it's a square. I didn't want to just place lyrics over the Roman soldier. I wanted the lyrics to be in front and behind the soldier. And unfortunately, this was the maximum resolution that they have. So what I wanted to do next was see if we could extend this. And just a few years ago, this would have been impossible without hiring a graphics artist. We'd have to go back to the drawing board and see if we have it in the budget and the timeline. And thanks to recent developments in AI image generation, I was able to fiddle around with it for a couple of hours and I came up with this. Now, I didn't just click a button and this happened. I had to work on it in chunks, and there were some imperfections with the image that I had to touch up manually. Then I went to the left side. Here was a few more issues that I had to touch up manually, mainly with this lightning, and the biggest issue was the sword. For some reason, the AI did not know what to do with the tip of the sword here at the edge, and I had to touch it up manually. I think it's still pretty true to the original artwork, so I thought this would work wonderfully. I also extended the image upward because I wanted to move the camera around from in front of the character to behind the character to make room for the lyrics, and I thought it would be cool if it was moving a little bit diagonally, maybe a little upwards, instead of just going left and right. So now that I have the image imported into After Effects, I can start playing around with it a bit. My idea is to, throughout the video, I'd be zooming into different portions of the sky, and then later on in the video I would switch to this side perhaps. I mean, it's a pretty intense song, and the artwork has a lot happening. You can see there's a lot of lightning, there's rain. It's quite intense. I want to see what more I can do to channel that. And the first thing I want to start playing around with are the clouds. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to manually add a mask over the clouds, and I'm going to cut around these lightnings. And over on this side, I'm just going to cut a hole around this lightning because I want to make the clouds move around without affecting the lightnings. Now, there doesn't need to be a lot of movement. I just like to pump some life into the sky there. Moving the clouds around a little bit with a displacement map is going to do that. And here's what that looks like. It's just subtle enough. It's not too subtle because once the lyrics are over it, it's gonna just be in the background and you won't notice it as much. Next, I'm going to add some lightnings. The lightnings that are already on the image are just there statically. So I want to add some lightnings myself that will strike on specific points in the song. And lucky for us, After Effects has this built-in lightning generator. It's pretty customizable. You could decide where you want it to strike from, what color do you want it to glow, and all those good stuff. So after playing around with it for a little bit, I have come up with this, which I think fits in pretty well. And I have it over on this side as well. And what this is gonna do is have these little strikes every now and then in the song. Those lightnings are all cool, but I like there to be sometimes a lightning that strikes very up close to the camera. That should be a little bit more obnoxious than the little ones I have so far. Using the same lightning effect, I have created one that is striking closer to the camera. Here we go. I think that looks pretty cool if used much more sparsely. Perhaps every chorus there'd be 4 or 5 lightnings in the background and then one big one that strikes right in front of the character here. So both of them together now look something like that. I think that's pretty cool. Now we have some clouds, some lightning going in the background and foreground. Next, I think we should add a layer of rain over this whole thing. And even though After Effects has its own rain generator, I find it looks incredibly fake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this video of rain that I found over our composition. Together now, with the rain, it looks like this. It's really starting to come together with the lightning and everything. Now when it comes to the lyrics, we're going to use something similar to what they have on the artwork here, just to keep everything in line with their branding. And as for the animation of the lyrics, it's a pretty heavy song and it's sung pretty fast paced. So I want to have the words sort of shaking as they fall into place. And I have done that by animating the position of the words and their scale and applying a little bit of code so that when they're supposed to come to a stop, they don't just stop dead on, but they kind of keep shaking for a little bit according to the direction that they were moving just before stopping. And after playing around with these parameters for a while, I landed on something like this. And I want the exit to also kind of just shake out of existence like that. Alright, so this is starting to come together now. We have this part where the camera jumps from behind the character to in front of the character and the chorus kicks in, and it looks kind of like this. So I think that looks pretty cool. But now that I'm looking at it, it's a little bit too static still. So what I want to do next is introduce this constant, subtle motion in the camera. I'm going to create the illusion that the camera is moving by moving the background layer and the lyrics layer at different ratios. So since the lyrics are closer to the camera, for every 10 pixels that the background moves, the lyrics would move 15 or 20. Kind of creating the illusion that the camera is moving. And the way I'm going to do that is just randomly move the background layer around and then write a little piece of code that's going to move the lyrics twice as much as the background. And when those two things come together, it looks something like this. Focus on the parts where the lyrics are fixed. You can see them moving at a different rate than the background. And now I think it really feels like the whole thing has come alive. The camera feels like it's moving. The cloud is moving. There's lightning striking in the background sometimes and the rain going over it. And I'm quite happy with how this is coming along. The next thing I wanted to talk about was there's this big hit at the beginning of each chorus. And those are the parts where I have placed the big lightning in the forefront. Looks something like this. But I also want to reflect that energy there in the lyrics somehow. Only for those big hits we could make the lyrics sort of shatter. There is this effect called pixel poly, which breaks a layer apart. It's quite customizable, but the main thing that I want to change is the size of the pieces that are breaking from it and the force center, and that is the point where things move outwards from. I want it to kind of look like it's coming out from the shield in that direction. And after playing around with it a bit, I settled on this. I think that's pretty cool. The last thing I want to talk about is this part in the song where the energy and intensity go down a bit. The vocals repeat the title of the song, Feel the Power, but it's a lot softer than the rest of the song. Obviously, there's no lightnings for this part, but I also want to animate the lyrics differently. Have the lyrics sort of disintegrating and reverse disintegrating into existence, and it looks kind of like this. And I think that's a nice change to reflect the dynamics of the song. And then after this part, the chorus comes back in full intensity again. We can go back to lightning and crazy vibration mode. And that's pretty much it. I won't spoil more of the video. You should go check them out. I'm Calvin West, a musician, a songwriter, and a lyric video artist. My name is on thousands of lyric videos that I've made over the last 10 years. And I've always wanted to start these video series where I talk about the thought process and the artistic choices that I make, and I hope you got something out of that today. Thanks for watching.